7 years ago, IU sophomore Joseph Smedley was found dead in a lake not far from campus. Bloomington police said at the time he died by suicide, but his family always maintained investigators did not have enough evidence to make that claim. Tonight, as our Madison Stacy explains, Smedley's sister has teamed up with a Hoosier podcaster to leverage a law they hope could get this case reinvestigated.
What do we know about Joseph Smedley?
Super smart and super hyper-focused on, getting ahead and basically starting a life for himself.
And that his life ended before he got a chance to do that. The morning of September 27, 2015, his sister Vivian woke up to a strange text message sent from Joseph at 4:15 in the morning.
Viv, I'm leaving the country. I can't tell you why, for your protection. Don't attempt to contact me. I'll contact you once I'm set up overseas.
When she texted back, silence, Vivian reported him missing later that day.
Thinking like I was over-exaggerating.
For days, Vivian heard nothing from her brother. And on October 2nd, fishermen found a body in Griffey Lake. It's a small body of water north of IU's campus. The person had on a backpack with 66 pounds of rocks inside. The next day, police told Vivian the body belonged to her brother, Joseph. After 3 months, the Bloomington Police Department ruled Joseph Smedley had died by suicide.
They said that he could have put those rocks in himself, and that's why it's a suicide.
On the 7th anniversary of the day Joseph was identified as the person in Griffey Lake, his family maintains his case was pushed under the rug. They still don't believe he committed suicide. The family even went to a private forensic pathologist who said they confirmed the family's concerns that there may be more to Joseph's death.
He said that the first autopsy was done very poorly. They didn't scrape his fingernails. His clothes were just thrown into the body bag.
And they have major questions about how Joseph, who was always an excellent swimmer, would have made his way to Griffey Lake, put pounds of rocks into his backpack as a way to end his life.
Joseph didn't have a operable car. That means that it would virtually be impossible for him to walk that distance. It's about a 45-minute walk from his house to Griffey Lake.
They also say a mysterious note from Joseph was never properly investigated and that it didn't match his handwriting. It was also signed Smedley, a name he never called himself, but his new Sigma Pi brothers did. Vivian said Joseph's Sigma Pi roommates didn't give police the note until they searched their home.
It wasn't until the police department came to their house to ask questions that all of a sudden this note comes out of nowhere.
And for years, Vivian says she's tried to bring these discrepancies to the Bloomington Police Department to get a closer look at Joseph's death, to no avail.
Like, why? If you're coming up with this narrative that Joseph has committed suicide, but you have nothing to back it up for, nothing at all.
And there are still people now who have never heard his name, who live in town, have never heard about his case.
It didn't make sense to Stacy Brodowski either. She moved to Bloomington shortly before Joseph's death and dedicated her time to creating a podcast that looked closer into what may have happened. That 10-part series, A Heavy Weight, looks into multiple discrepancies in Joseph Smedley's death.
The biggest thing, these rocks are bricks. And so in different reports, they're referred to differently. So we have, at first, the first autopsy report released says there are 30 pounds of brick strapped tightly to Joseph's chest. But then we see that's crossed out and it's written 30 kg, which would be closer to 66 pounds, which is a pretty big discrepancy.
Now the pair's leveraging SEA 177. It was passed in July 2021. It allows victims' families to petition the Indiana State Police to have a case reinvestigated if it meets certain criteria.
And the specifics of that law are it has to be an uncharged death. So it really fits with Joseph's case because his case was never a criminal case. It's only been a death investigation.
They filed that petition at the end of September in the hopes of knowing more about what may have happened to Joseph. Because 7 years after he's gone, the people who knew him best still don't really feel like they know what happened to him in the end.